Let us begin by understanding that the world you see around you, the circumstances of your life, and the experiences you encounter daily are nothing more than the outward manifestation of your inner conversations. Yes, you heard that correctly, your inner conversations. The way you speak to yourself, the thoughts you entertain, and the beliefs you hold dear are the very architects of your reality. Many of you may find this concept challenging to grasp at first. You may ask, Neville, how can my inner dialogue shape my external world? To this I say, open your minds and hearts to the truth that has been hidden in plain sight since the beginning of time. You are not merely a passive observer of life, but the active creator of your destiny. Consider for a moment the power of your imagination. It is the most magnificent gift bestowed upon humanity. Yet so few truly understand its potential. Your imagination is not some fanciful daydreaming tool. It is the very workshop wherein you forge the reality you desire. When you engage in inner conversations that align with your deepest desires, you are, in essence, planting the seeds of your future experiences. Now let us delve deeper into the art of speaking to yourself in a way that attracts all you desire. The first step is to recognize that your consciousness is the only reality. All that you perceive in the outer world is but a shadow, a reflection of your inner state of being. Therefore, to change your world, you must first change your consciousness. Begin by identifying the desire that burns within your heart. What is it that you truly want to experience in this life? Is it abundance, love, success, or perhaps a sense of profound inner peace? Whatever it may be, hold that desire in your mind's eye and become the focal point of your inner conversations. Once you have clarity on your desire, you must learn to speak to yourself as though your wish has already been fulfilled. This, my friends, is the crux of the matter. Your inner conversations must reflect the state of having already attained your desire, not the state of wanting or lacking. For instance, if your desire is financial abundance, your inner dialogue should not be, I wish I had more money, or when will I ever be financially secure? Such conversations only reinforce the state of lack and want. Instead, speak to yourself in this way. I am so grateful for the abundance that flows into my life effortlessly. My financial security brings me peace and allows me to bless others. Do you see the difference? In the first instance, you are speaking from a place of absence, whereas in the second, you are embodying the consciousness of already having received your desire. This shift in your inner conversation is nothing short of miraculous in its effects. Now, some of you may be thinking, but Neville, isn't this just self-deception? How can I speak of having something when my current reality shows me otherwise? To this, I say you must understand the true nature of time and reality. The future is not some distant point you are moving towards. It is a present possibility you are choosing now through your state of consciousness. When you engage in these new inner conversations, you are not denying your present circumstances. Rather, you are choosing to align your consciousness with the version of reality you wish to experience. Remember, your outer world must conform to your inner conversations. It has no choice in the matter. This is law. Let me share with you a personal experience to illustrate this point. There was a time when I desired to travel to Barbados, my homeland, but lacked the means to do so. Instead of dwelling on my inability to make the journey, I began to engage in inner conversations as though I were already there. I would walk the familiar streets in my imagination, feel the warm Caribbean breeze on my skin, and hear the voices of loved ones welcoming me home. I persisted in this inner conversation, speaking to myself as though my desire had already been fulfilled. And do you know what happened? Within a matter of weeks, against all apparent odds, I received an invitation from my family, complete with the means to make the journey. The outer world had no choice but to reshape itself to match my inner conversation. This, my dear friends, is the power that lies within you. It is not reserved for a select few. It is your birthright as a creative being. You have been given dominion over all things through your imagination and your ability to choose your inner conversations. Now let us address an important aspect of this practice: persistence. Changing your inner conversations is not a matter of repeating affirmations a few times and then wondering why your world hasn't transformed overnight. It requires a complete revision of your habitual thought patterns and the way you speak to yourself throughout your day. You must persist in your new inner conversations until they become your natural way of thinking. This may take days, weeks, or even months, depending on how deeply ingrained your old patterns of thought are. But I assure you, the rewards of this practice are beyond measure. As you persist in speaking to yourself in alignment with your desires, you will begin to notice subtle shifts in your outer world. Opportunities may arise that were not there before. People may respond to you differently. You may find yourself inspired to take actions that lead you closer to the fulfillment of your desire. These are all signs that your new inner conversations are taking root and beginning to reshape your reality. Do not be discouraged if the full manifestation of your desire does not appear immediately. Remember, the outer world may take time to fully reflect your inner changes, but be assured that it must and will conform to your new state of consciousness. Another crucial aspect of speaking to yourself in this way is the feeling associated with your inner conversations. It is not enough to merely repeat words in your mind. You must feel the reality of what you are saying. Emotion is the secret ingredient that gives life to your inner conversations and accelerates their manifestation in the outer world. When you speak to yourself as though your desire is fulfilled, allow yourself to feel the joy, the gratitude, the sense of accomplishment that would accompany the realization of your wish. These feelings are the prayer, the bridge between your inner world and the outer reality you seek to create. Let me emphasize this point: feeling is the secret. Your emotions are the language of your subconscious mind, and it is through your subconscious that the creative power within you operates. When you combine your carefully chosen inner conversations with the corresponding emotions, you create an irresistible force that must externalize itself in your world. Now, some of you may be wondering about the role of action in this process. Should you simply engage in these inner conversations and wait for your world to change? The answer is both yes and no. Yes, in the sense that your primary focus should be on maintaining the consciousness of your wish fulfilled through your inner conversations. And no, because inspired action is often a natural consequence of this new state of consciousness. As you persist in speaking to yourself in alignment with your desires, you may find yourself naturally inclined to take certain actions. These actions will not feel forced or burdensome. They will arise spontaneously from your new state of being. Trust these impulses and act upon them, for they are the bridge between your inner world and your outer reality. Remember, the actions themselves do not create your desire. They are simply the means through which your desire manifests. The true creative power lies in your consciousness, in the way you speak to yourself, and the state of being you choose to embody. Let us now address a common concern that many face when beginning this practice: the apparent contradiction between their inner conversations and their current circumstances. It is natural for doubt to arise when you look at your world and see no evidence of your desire. But I urge you, do not give in to these doubts. Your current circumstances are nothing more than the fruit of your past thoughts and inner conversations. They have no power to dictate your future unless you grant them that power through your continued attention and belief. Instead of being swayed by what your senses show you, remain faithful to your inner conversations that align with your desire. This faithfulness to your inner conversations, despite contradictory evidence in the outer world, is what I call living in the end. It is the art of inhabiting the state of consciousness where your wish is already fulfilled, regardless of appearances. This unwavering faith in the reality of your inner world is what transforms it into your outer experience. As you practice speaking to yourself in this new way, you may encounter resistance from your habitual patterns of thought. Old doubts and fears may surface, attempting to pull you back into your former state of consciousness. When this happens, do not fight against these thoughts or berate yourself for having them. Instead, gently but firmly return to your new inner conversations. Think of it as training a puppy. When the puppy wanders off, you don't punish it. You simply bring it back to where you want it to be. Treat your mind with the same patience and persistence. Each time you catch yourself engaging in inner talk that contradicts your desire, lovingly guide your thoughts back to the conversations that align with your wish fulfilled. This practice of vigilance over your inner conversations is not about forcing positive thinking or suppressing negative emotions. It is about consciously choosing the state of consciousness you wish to inhabit. It is about recognizing your power as the operant power in your reality and using that power wisely through your chosen inner conversations. As you become more adept at maintaining these new inner conversations, you will find that your outer world begins to mirror your inner state with increasing fidelity. The people in your life may respond to you differently, reflecting back to you the new concept you hold of yourself. Circumstances may align in ways that support the fulfillment of your desire. Synchronicities may occur that seem almost magical in their perfect timing. These outer changes are not coincidences or strokes of luck. They are the natural and inevitable result of your shifted consciousness made manifest through your persistent inner conversations. Your world has no choice but to reflect back to you the state you have chosen to occupy in your imagination. Now let us address an important point: the nature of time in relation to the manifestation of your desires. In the world of Caesar, time appears to be a linear progression from past to future. But in the realm of imagination, where all creation takes place, time is fluid and malleable. When you engage in inner conversations that align with your desire, you are, in essence, collapsing time. You are bringing the future state you desire into your present moment experience. This is why it is so crucial to speak to yourself as to implica self, as though his whole wish is already fulfilled, not as something that will happen in some distant future. By doing so, you are not merely affirming a future possibility, you are claiming a present reality in your consciousness. And it is this present reality in consciousness that becomes the seed of your future experience in the world of Caesar. This understanding of time and consciousness liberates you from the tyranny of waiting. You no longer need to anxiously anticipate the fulfillment of your desire, for in your inner conversations, it is already accomplished. This state of calm assurance, of knowing that what you desire is already yours in consciousness, is incredibly powerful in accelerating the manifestation of your desire in the outer world. As you practice speaking to yourself in this new way, you may find that your entire perception of reality begins to shift. You may start to see the world not as a solid, unchangeable entity, but as a fluid, responsive mirror of your own consciousness. This shift in perception is profoundly liberating, for it places the power to shape your life experience firmly in your own hands. You begin to understand that every person and every circumstance in your life is there to play a role in the grand drama of your consciousness. They are not obstacles to be overcome or separate entities acting independently of your desires. Rather, they are aspects of yourself, reflections of your inner state, perfectly positioned to aid in the manifestation of your true reality. This understanding leads to a profound sense of peace and empowerment. No longer do you see yourself as a victim of circumstances or at the mercy of external forces. Instead, you recognize yourself as the author of your life story, crafting your reality through the power of your inner conversations. As you continue to speak to yourself in alignment with your desires, you may notice another interesting phenomenon. Your desires themselves may begin to evolve and refine. As you experience the fulfillment of one desire, you may find that new higher aspirations take its place. This is the natural progression of spiritual growth and expansion. Do not be alarmed by this evolution of your desires. It is a sign that you are aligning more closely with your true self, with the infinite potential that lies within you. Continue to apply the same principle of inner conversation to these new desires, always speaking to yourself from the state of wish fulfilled. Now let us address a question that may have arisen in your minds. What about the desires of others? How do my inner conversations affect those around me? This is a profound inquiry that touches upon the interconnected nature of consciousness. Remember, the entire world you perceive is a reflection of your own consciousness. Therefore, the people in your life with their apparent separate desires and wills are ultimately playing roles in the drama of your consciousness. As you shift your inner conversations and thereby your state of being, you will find that others naturally adjust to reflect your new state. This does not mean you are controlling or manipulating others. Rather, you are experiencing different aspects of yourself, different states of consciousness, played out in the people and circumstances of your life. As you speak to yourself in new ways, embodying the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you will find that others naturally conform to support this new state. This understanding releases you from any sense of guilt or fear about imposing your will on others. You are not changing them. You are changing yourself. And as you change, your experience of the entire world, including the people in it, changes to match your new state of consciousness. Let us now explore another crucial aspect of speaking to yourself in a way that attracts all you desire: gratitude. Gratitude is not merely a polite social convention. It is a powerful creative force. When you speak to yourself with gratitude, as though you have already received your heart's desire, you align yourself with the very frequency of fulfillment. Incorporate gratitude into your inner conversations, not as a technique to get what you want, but as a genuine expression of appreciation for what you know is already yours in consciousness. Speak to yourself with phrases like, I am so thankful for the abundance that flows into my life effortlessly, or I am grateful for the perfect health and vitality I enjoy every day. This attitude of gratitude creates a receptive state of consciousness, opening you up to receive the good that is already yours. It aligns you with the natural flow of life's abundance and accelerates the manifestation of your desires in the outer world. As you practice speaking to yourself in this new way with gratitude and the assumption of your wish fulfilled, you may encounter moments of doubt or impatience. This is natural, especially when your outer world has not yet fully conformed to your new inner state. In these moments, it is crucial to remember that your inner conversations are the cause and the outer world is the effect. Do not make the mistake of looking to the outer world for evidence before you believe in the reality of your inner conversations. This is backwards and will only perpetuate the old state you are seeking to change. Instead, persist in your new inner conversations regardless of appearances. Your faith in the reality of your inner world is what gives it the power to reshape your outer experience. Think of it this way. Your inner conversations are like seeds planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. Just as a gardener doesn't dig up the seeds every day to check if they're growing, you must not constantly question or doubt the efficacy of your inner conversations. Trust in the law of your own being, knowing that what you plant in consciousness must inevitably bear fruit in your experience. This brings us to another important point, the role of detachment in the process of manifestation. While it may seem paradoxical, cultivating a sense of detachment from the outcome can actually accelerate the realization of your desire. This detachment comes from the deep knowing that what you desire is already yours in consciousness. When you truly embody the state of your wish fulfilled in your inner conversations, you no longer feel the anxious need to make it happen. You are able to relax into the certainty that your outer world must and will conform to your inner state. This relaxation, this letting go, allows the creative forces of the universe to work on your behalf without the interference of doubt or anxiety. Incorporate this sense of relaxed detachment into your inner conversations. Speak to yourself as someone who is calmly certain of their good, not as someone desperately trying to make something happen. This calm assurance is incredibly powerful in bringing about the manifestation of your desires. As you continue to practice speaking to yourself in this new way, you may find that your entire concept of who you are begins to shift. You start to recognize yourself not as a limited, physical being subject to the whims of fate, but as a spiritual being with infinite potential, crafting your reality through the power of your consciousness. This expanded sense of self brings with it a profound sense of responsibility. You begin to realize that every thought, every inner conversation is a creative act. This realization may cause you to become more mindful of the way you speak to yourself, not out of fear, but out of a deep respect for your creative power. Embrace this responsibility with joy, knowing that it comes hand in hand with the power to shape your life according to your highest aspirations. Let your inner conversations reflect the best of who you are and who you wish to become. Speak to yourself as the person who has already achieved all that you desire, who embodies all the qualities you admire. As you do this, you may find that your desires themselves begin to elevate. No longer content with merely accumulating material possessions or achieving worldly success, you may find yourself drawn to higher aspirations. Your inner conversations may begin to reflect a desire for spiritual growth, for making a positive impact on the world, for expressing your unique gifts in service to others. This evolution of your desires is a natural part of the journey of consciousness. As you experience the fulfillment of your initial desires, you naturally expand into greater expressions of your true self. Embrace this growth and continue to apply the principle of speaking to yourself from the state of wish fulfilled, no matter how lofty your aspirations may become. As we draw this discussion to a close, I want to emphasize once more the incredible power that lies within you. The way you speak to yourself, the inner conversations you entertain, are the very fabric from which your reality is woven. Choose these conversations wisely with intention and awareness, knowing that they are shaping your world in every moment. Remember, persistence is key. The transformation of your outer world may not happen overnight, but if you remain faithful to your new inner conversations, it must and will occur. Trust in the law of your own being, in the creative power of your consciousness, and know that as you speak to yourself in alignment with your desires, you are setting in motion forces that will move heaven and earth to bring about their fulfillment. Go forth now, my dear friends, and begin to speak to yourself in this new way. Embrace the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, live from the end, and watch in wonder as your world transforms to match your inner state. You are the operant power in your reality, the author of your life story. Speak to yourself accordingly and attract all that you desire. Most of you have spent your entire lives in a state of constant resistance. You resist what is while desperately reaching for what is not. You push against your present circumstances with such force, such determination, such righteous indignation, believing that this very resistance will somehow catapult you into a better tomorrow. But I tell you now with absolute certainty that resistance is the very thing that keeps you chained to the unwanted present. The moment you truly understand what I am about to share with you, your world will never be the same. For I am not speaking to you of positive thinking or wishful dreaming. I am revealing to you the fundamental law by which all reality operates, the divine principle that governs every manifestation in your experience. When you grasp this principle and cease your futile struggle against what is, you will discover that you have been the creator of your reality all along. But first, you must understand what resistance truly is. Resistance is not merely disliking your current circumstances. Resistance is the emotional and mental energy you expend in denying the present moment its right to exist. It is the constant commentary running through your mind that says, this should not be happening to me. This is wrong. This is unfair. This must change immediately. It is the chronic state of being at war with what is. Every time you say to yourself, I hate my job, you are not simply expressing a preference. You are actively resisting the present moment. Every time you declare, I don't have money, you are not merely stating a fact. You are energetically pushing against your current financial reality. Every time you complain about your health, your relationships, your living situation, you are adding power to the very conditions you claim to want to change. You must understand that your resistance is not neutral. It is creative force. It is the very energy that perpetuates and strengthens the unwanted conditions in your life. For consciousness is the only reality. And what you are conscious of, you experience. When you resist your present circumstances, you become intensely conscious of them. You think about them, you feel them, you talk about them, you lose sleep over them. And in doing so, you are feeding them with the very substance of creation itself. The mystics of old understood this principle when they spoke of acceptance. But they did not mean passive resignation or defeated surrender. They meant something far more profound. They meant the recognition that this moment, exactly as it is, contains within it the seed of all transformation. They understood that the present moment is not your enemy to be conquered, but your partner in the dance of creation. When I speak of stopping your resistance to the now, I am not asking you to like your circumstances. I am not suggesting that you become content with mediocrity or settle for less than your heart's desire. What I am revealing to you is that your current circumstances are not your reality. They are simply the outpicturing of your past states of consciousness. They are yesterday's mental diet made manifest. They are the harvest of seeds you planted in consciousness weeks, months, or even years ago. The present moment contains no past and no future. It contains only pure potential, infinite possibility, the very essence of I am. When you stop resisting what appears to be true now, you free your consciousness to create anew. You stop giving power to the old story and begin to author a new one. You cease being the victim of your circumstances and reclaim your throne as the creator of your experience. Let me share with you exactly how this works. Imagine for a moment that you are deeply in debt. Every day you receive bills in the mail. Every day you check your bank account and see the same insufficient balance. Every day you worry about money, think about money, struggle with money. What are you doing? You are resisting your current financial situation with such intensity that you are actually strengthening it. You are becoming more and more conscious of lack, and consciousness is the only reality. But what if, instead of fighting against your debt, you simply acknowledged it without resistance? What if you looked at those bills and said, yes, this is what appears to be true in my world right now? Not with resignation, but with the quiet confidence of one who knows that appearances are not reality. What if you stop feeding the fire of financial struggle with your emotional reactions and mental commentary? The moment you stop resisting your current financial circumstances, something remarkable happens. Your consciousness is freed from its fixation on lack. No longer are you mentally and emotionally invested in the story of not having enough. No longer are you giving creative power to poverty consciousness. You have stepped out of the old pattern and created space for something new to emerge. This is where the real work begins. For having ceased your resistance to what is, you now have the opportunity to consciously choose what will be. You can now deliberately assume the feeling of already having the financial freedom you desire. You can now live from the consciousness of abundance rather than the consciousness of lack. You can now author a new story from the blank page of the present moment. But understand this clearly, you cannot successfully assume a new state of consciousness while simultaneously resisting your current circumstances. It is impossible to feel wealthy while hating your poverty. It is impossible to experience health while fighting your illness. It is impossible to know love while resisting your loneliness. The two states of consciousness cannot coexist in the same moment. This is why so many of your attempts at manifestation have failed. You have tried to create from a divided consciousness. You have attempted to plant seeds of abundance in soil poisoned by resistance to lack. You have sought to build your dream house on a foundation of rejection of your current address. It cannot be done. Creation requires a unified consciousness, a single-pointed focus, an undivided heart. When you cease your resistance to the present moment, you discover something that will astound you. You discover that the present moment has no opinions about itself. It does not insist on being permanent. It does not fight to maintain itself. It simply is, and then it passes away, making room for the next moment to unfold. The present moment is infinitely flexible, endlessly creative, completely responsive to consciousness. Your resistance is what makes your circumstances appear solid and unchangeable. Your resistance is what creates the illusion that you are stuck, trapped, powerless to alter your experience. But the moment you withdraw your resistance, you discover that your circumstances are as fluid, as water, as malleable as clay in the hands of a master sculptor. They are not your master, you are their creator. I want you to understand something that will revolutionize your entire approach to life. Your circumstances are never the cause of your experience. Your consciousness is the cause, and your circumstances are the effect. This means that changing your circumstances is not about manipulating the external world. It is about transforming your internal world, your consciousness, your state of being. When you resist your present circumstances, you are trying to change the effect while leaving the cause intact. It is like looking in a mirror and trying to change your reflection by manipulating the mirror. The only way to change your reflection is to change yourself. The only way to change your circumstances is to change your consciousness. But here is what most people do not understand. You cannot change your consciousness while resisting your present experience. Resistance locks you into the old consciousness. It keeps you fixated on what you do not want. It prevents you from assuming the new state that will create the new circumstances. The present moment is not your problem. Your resistance to the present moment is your problem. The present moment is not your limitation. Your resistance to the present moment is your limitation. The present moment is not your enemy. Your resistance to the present moment is your enemy. When you truly grasp this principle, you will see your entire life differently. You will understand that every challenging circumstance, every unwanted condition, every difficult situation is not a punishment or a mistake. It is an invitation to stop resisting and start creating consciously. It is life asking you to remember who you really are and to reclaim your power as the creator of your experience. Let me take you deeper into this understanding. When you resist the present moment, you are essentially saying to the universe, you got it wrong. This moment should be different than it is. But the universe does not make mistakes. Every moment unfolds in perfect response to consciousness. Your present circumstances are the perfect outpicturing of your past states of consciousness. They are not random, they are not accidents, they are not punishments. They are the faithful mirror of your inner world. This is why resistance is so futile. You are fighting against the perfect reflection of your own consciousness. You are arguing with your own creation. You are at war with yourself. And in any war with yourself, you can only lose. But when you cease your resistance, something miraculous occurs. You stop being at war with yourself and begin to work with yourself. You stop fighting your own reflection and begin to change what creates the reflection. You stop being the victim of your circumstances and begin to be the conscious creator of new circumstances. The key to understanding this principle lies in recognizing the difference between acknowledgement and resistance. Acknowledgement says, this is what appears to be true right now. Resistance says, this should not be true right now. Acknowledgement is neutral, peaceful, accepting of what is. Resistance is charged, emotional, fighting against what is. When you acknowledge your present circumstances without resistance, you are not giving up or giving in. You are simply stepping out of the old pattern of struggle. You are refusing to feed the unwanted conditions with your emotional and mental energy. You are withdrawing your creative power from the old story and making it available for the creation of a new story. This is what the ancient wisdom meant when it spoke of surrender. Not the surrender of defeat, but the surrender of struggle. Not giving up on your dreams, but giving up the belief that fighting against what is will somehow create what you want. Not accepting less than you deserve, but accepting the present moment as the perfect starting point for creating what you do deserve. The present moment asks nothing of you except your presence. It does not require your approval or your resistance. It simply invites you to be here now, fully conscious and awake. And when you accept this invitation, when you show up fully to what is, you discover that the present moment is not a prison, but a doorway. Not a limitation, but a possibility. Not an ending, but a beginning. Think about this for a moment. Every great transformation in your life has begun with acceptance of where you were. Every positive change has started with the recognition of what was true in that moment. You cannot go from here to there without first being honestly and completely here. You cannot create something new without first acknowledging what currently exists. This is why resistance is such a barrier to transformation. It keeps you from being fully present to what is. And without full presence to what is, you cannot consciously create what will be. Resistance scatters your consciousness, divides your attention, fragments your creative power. It makes you mentally and emotionally unavailable for the work of conscious creation. But when you stop resisting, your consciousness becomes unified, focused, available. You are no longer fighting a war on two fronts, trying to push away what you do not want, while simultaneously reaching for what you do want. You are simply here, now, in this moment, with all of your creative power gathered and ready to be directed toward your chosen end. This is the secret that the great spiritual teachers have been trying to convey throughout the ages. The kingdom of heaven is within you, they said. The power to create your reality lies in your consciousness, not in your circumstances. The present moment is the point of power, the place where all transformation begins. When Jesus said, "Resist not evil," he was not teaching passivity or encouraging people to accept injustice. He was revealing the fundamental law of consciousness that resistance perpetuates what you resist, while acceptance transforms it. He was showing us that the way to overcome any unwanted condition is not to fight against it, but to withdraw our creative power from it and invest that power in the creation of what we truly desire. This principle applies to every area of your life. If you are unhappy in your relationship, stop resisting your partner's behavior and start assuming the feeling of already experiencing the love you desire. If you are dissatisfied with your career, stop fighting against your current job and start living from the consciousness of already being in your ideal profession. If you are struggling with health issues, stop battling your symptoms and start feeling the wellness that is your natural state. But remember, this is not about denial or pretense. This is not about closing your eyes to reality and pretending everything is perfect. This is about understanding what reality truly is. Reality is not your circumstances. Reality is consciousness. Your circumstances are simply the carved out picturing of consciousness. They are not permanent. They are not solid. They are not unchangeable. They are fluid, responsive, completely under the dominion of consciousness. When you stop resisting your circumstances, you stop giving them the power to resist change. When you stop fighting against what is, you stop strengthening what is. When you cease being emotionally and mentally invested in the old story begins to lose its power over your experience. This is where faith comes in. Not faith in some external deity or force, but faith in the principle of consciousness. Faith that when you change your inner world, your outer world must reflect that change. Faith that when you assume a new state of consciousness and persist in that assumption, your circumstances will inevitably conform to your new state. But this faith cannot coexist with resistance. You cannot simultaneously believe in the power of consciousness while fighting against its current manifestation. You cannot have faith in your ability to create while being at war with what you have already created. Faith and resistance are mutually exclusive. This is why the scriptures speak of having faith like a child. A child does not question whether their imagination is real. A child does not doubt whether their inner world has power over their experience. A child simply assumes a state and lives from that assumption with complete naturalness and confidence. You must reclaim this childlike faith in the power of consciousness. You must remember that your imagination is not make-believe, but the very force by which worlds are created. You must trust that when you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and persist in that assumption, the external world has no choice but to conform to your assumption. But again, this cannot happen while you are resisting your present circumstances. Resistance keeps you tied to the old state of consciousness. It prevents you from fully assuming the new state. It divides your creative power between fighting what is and creating what you want. The moment you stop resisting, all of your creative power becomes available for the work of conscious creation. You are no longer spending energy maintaining the old story through your emotional reactions and mental commentary. You are free to invest all of that energy in the assumption of your new story. This is what I mean when I say there is no reality shift until you stop resisting the now. As long as you are fighting against your present circumstances, you are locked into the consciousness that created those circumstances. You are perpetuating the old story with your resistance. You are strengthening the very conditions you claim to want to change. But the moment you withdraw your resistance, you step into the realm of infinite possibility. You become available for transformation. You open the door for consciousness to create anew. You remember that you are not the victim of your circumstances, but the author of your experience. Let me share with you a practical approach to implementing this principle in your daily life. Begin each day by consciously choosing not to resist what appears in your experience. When you wake up and remember your challenges, instead of automatically going into resistance mode, simply acknowledge what appears to be true without fighting against it. If you are facing financial difficulties, instead of spending your morning worrying about money and complaining about your situation, simply acknowledge that this is what appears to be true in your world right now. Do not feed it with emotional reactions. Do not strengthen it with mental commentary. Simply observe it as you would observe clouds passing across the sky. Then, having withdrawn your creative power from the old story, consciously assume the feeling of already having the financial freedom you desire. Feel what it would be like to wake up each morning knowing that all of your needs are abundantly met. Assume the consciousness of wealth rather than the consciousness of lack. If you are struggling with health issues, instead of spending your day focused on symptoms and limitations, simply acknowledge that this is what appears true about your body right now. Do not resist it. Do not fight it. Do not give it power through your emotional reactions. Then assume the feeling of perfect health and vitality. Feel yourself strong, energetic, radiant with wellness. If you are lonely and longing for love, instead of feeling sorry for yourself and complaining about your isolation, simply acknowledge that this is your current experience without fighting against it. Then assume the feeling of being deeply loved and cherished. Feel yourself surrounded by love, appreciated, valued, adored. The key is to make this a practice, not just an occasional attempt when you remember. Make it your default response to any unwanted condition. First, acknowledge without resistance. Then, assume the new state of consciousness. This is the rhythm of conscious creation. Acknowledge what is. Assume what you want to be. As you practice this principle, you will begin to notice something remarkable. Your circumstances will begin to shift in ways that seem almost magical. Opportunities will appear. People will show up. Conditions will align to support your new state of consciousness. What seemed impossible while you were in resistance will become natural and effortless as you learn to work with consciousness rather than against it. But understand that this is not magic. This is law. This is the fundamental principle by which reality operates. Consciousness is the only reality, and your external world is simply the faithful mirror of your internal world. When you change your consciousness, your world must change. It has no choice. It is law. The great teachers throughout history have all pointed to this same truth. They have used different words, different metaphors, different approaches, but they have all been revealing the same fundamental principle, that you are the creator of your reality, and your creative power lies in consciousness, not in circumstances. Buddha spoke of the end of suffering through the cessation of resistance. He taught that suffering comes not from circumstances themselves, but from our attachment to wanting things to be different than they are. When we stop resisting what is, suffering ends, and we become available for enlightenment. Jesus demonstrated this principle in his entire ministry. He never fought against external conditions. He simply assumed the consciousness of what he wanted to experience and let that consciousness manifest as changed circumstances. He turned water into wine, not by manipulating the water, but by assuming the consciousness of wine. He healed the sick not by fighting their diseases, but by assuming the consciousness of health. The ancient Hermetic teachings speak of this as the principle of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. Your external world corresponds to your internal world. Change the inner and the outer must follow. But you cannot change the inner while resisting the outer. Every mystical tradition has recognized this truth in its own way. The Hindus speak of Maya, the illusion of the external world. The Sufis teach that the world is a mirror, reflecting the qualities of consciousness. The Kabbalists understand that all of creation is simply the emanation of divine consciousness into form. But you do not need to study these traditions to understand this principle. You need only observe your own experience with clear eyes. Notice how your external world reflects your internal world. Notice how your circumstances mirror your consciousness. Notice how resistance perpetuates what you resist, while acceptance transforms it. The truth is, you have been using this principle your entire life, but unconsciously. Every condition in your life right now is the result of some state of consciousness you have assumed and persisted in. Your current circumstances are not accidents, they are creations. They are not punishments, they are reflections. They are not mistakes, they are perfect mirrors of your inner world. When you understand this, you realize that you have always been the creator of your reality. You have never been a victim, never been powerless, never been at the mercy of external forces. You have always had the power to create your experience through consciousness. You simply were not aware of it. This awareness changes everything. It means that no condition is permanent unless you make it so through your consciousness. It means that no circumstance is beyond your ability to transform through the right assumption of consciousness. It means that you are never stuck unless you choose to be stuck through resistance to what is. But with this power comes responsibility. You can no longer blame others for your experience. You can no longer point to external conditions as the cause of your problems. You can no longer play the victim or wait for someone else to rescue you. You must take full responsibility for your consciousness and therefore for your reality. This responsibility is not a burden. It is liberation. It means that you no longer need to wait for external conditions to change before you can be happy. You no longer need other people to behave differently before you can feel loved. You no longer need circumstances to improve before you can experience fulfillment. You can create any experience you desire right now through the assumption of the appropriate state of consciousness. But again, this cannot happen while you are resisting your present experience. Resistance keeps you locked in victim consciousness. It maintains the illusion that you are at the mercy of external forces. It prevents you from recognizing and claiming your power as the creator of your reality. The moment you stop resisting what is, you step into creator consciousness. You remember who you really are. You reclaim your throne as the author of your experience. You become consciously creative rather than unconsciously reactive. This is the great awakening that is available to every human being. This is the remembering that transforms victims into creators, problems into possibilities, limitations into launching pads. This is the recognition that changes everything, that consciousness is the only reality, and you are consciousness itself. When you fully embrace this truth, when you stop resisting the now and start creating consciously, you will discover that reality is far more fluid and responsive than you ever imagined. You will find that the world is not a fixed, solid, unchangeable thing, but a living, breathing, constantly transforming reflection of consciousness. You will realize that every moment is a new opportunity to create. Every breath is a chance to assume a new state. Every day is a blank canvas on which you can paint the masterpiece of your chosen life. You will understand that limitation is not a fact but a choice, that problems are not permanent but temporary outpicturings of consciousness, that miracles are not violations of natural law, but the natural result of elevated consciousness. This is your birthright. This is your nature. This is who you really are, the conscious creator of your reality, the author of your experience, the artist of your life. Stop resisting the now and remember. Stop fighting what is and create what you want. Stop being the victim of your circumstances and become the master of your consciousness. The time for resistance is over. The time for conscious creation has begun. The time to remember who you truly are is now. There is no reality shift until you stop resisting the now. But the moment you do, all things become possible, all dreams become attainable, all desires become manifest. This is the truth that will set you free. Not free from your circumstances, but free to create new circumstances. Not free from responsibility, but free to take responsibility for your creative power. Not free from life, but free to live life as the conscious creator you were born to be. The choice is yours and the power is within you. Stop resisting and start creating. The reality you desire is waiting for your assumption. The life you dream of is waiting for your consciousness. The transformation you seek is waiting for your acceptance of this moment as the perfect starting point for all creation. There is no reality shift until you stop resisting the now. But when you do, when you finally cease your futile struggle against what is and begin to consciously create what will be, you will discover that you have always been the one you were waiting for, the power you were seeking, the miracle you were hoping for. The kingdom of heaven is within you, and the time to enter it is now. Listen carefully to what I am about to tell you, for this is the foundation upon which all manifestation rests. You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot love another truly until you have discovered the wellspring of love within yourself. You cannot manifest a life of joy, abundance, and fulfillment if you are at war with the very being through whom all these things must flow. That being is you. The world has taught you to look outside yourself for validation, for love, for approval, for worth. From your earliest days, you were conditioned to believe that your value comes from others, that love is something to be earned, that you must prove yourself worthy of affection and care. This is the great lie that keeps humanity in bondage. This is the illusion that separates you from your power. But tonight, I invite you to see through this illusion. I invite you to recognize that the love you seek from others is but a pale reflection of the infinite love that dwells within you. You are not a beggar at the table of love, hoping for scraps of affection from those around you. You are the very source of love itself, the fountain from which all love flows. Consider this carefully. Every person you have ever loved, you love because it may make you feel about yourself. When someone loves you, what moves you is not their love alone, but the recognition of your own lovability reflected back to you through their eyes. When someone appreciates you, what touches you is not their appreciation, but the activation of your own self-appreciation. You are always experiencing yourself, even when it appears you are experiencing another. This is why the commandment to love your neighbor as yourself is so profound. It recognizes that you cannot truly love another beyond the degree to which you love yourself. Your capacity to give love, to receive love, to be loved in this world is determined entirely by your relationship with yourself. Now, when I speak of loving yourself more than anyone else, I do not mean that you should be selfish or inconsiderate of others. True self-love is not selfish. It is the most generous gift you can give to the world. When you love yourself truly, you become a channel for love to flow through you to all beings. When you withhold love from yourself, you dam up the very river that could nourish everyone in your world. Think of the sun for a moment. Does the sun apologize for shining? Does it dim its light so as not to outshine the other stars? Does it question whether it deserves to give warmth and life to the earth? No. The sun shines because that is its nature. It gives of itself freely, abundantly, without reservation, and in doing so, it makes all life possible. You, my friend, are like that sun. You are a center of consciousness, a point of divine light in the infinite cosmos of being. Your nature is to shine, to love, to create, to express the glory of existence through your unique being. But you have been taught to hide your light, to question your worth, to seek permission from others to be who you are. I tell you now, no one can give you permission to love yourself. No one can grant you the right to honor your own being. No one can bestow upon you the worthiness that is already yours by virtue of your existence. You are worthy of love, not because of what you do, not because of what you achieve, not because of how others respond to you, but because you are. Your being is not an accident. Your consciousness is not a random occurrence in a meaningless universe. You are the universe becoming aware of itself through the lens of your unique perspective. You are God experiencing creation through your eyes, feeling through your heart, thinking through your mind. How can such a being be anything less than infinitely precious, infinitely worthy of love? Yet I know that many of you struggle with this truth. You carry within you the voices of criticism, the wounds of rejection, the scars of judgment. You have been told you are not enough, not worthy, not deserving. These voices seem so real, so authoritative, that you have accepted them as truth. But I tell you now, these voices are not the voice of truth. They are the echoes of a sleeping world, the murmurings of those who have forgotten their own divinity. The voice of truth speaks differently. It speaks with the authority of love. It says, "You are my beloved, in whom I am well pleased." It says, "Before you were formed in the womb, I knew you." It says, "You are fearfully and wonderfully made." This voice does not come from outside you, it is you. It is the voice of your true self, the voice of the divine consciousness that you are. To love yourself more than anyone else means to listen to this voice above all others. It means to trust your own inner knowing above the opinions of the world. It means to honor your own truth, even when others cannot see it or understand it. It means to be your own best friend, your own greatest supporter, your own most compassionate companion. But how does one begin this journey of self-love? How does one learn to see oneself through the eyes of love rather than the eyes of judgment? The answer lies in understanding the nature of your own consciousness and the power it contains. You are not your body, though you express through it. You are not your thoughts, though you think them. You are not your emotions, though you feel them. You are not your circumstances, though you experience them. You are the consciousness that is aware of all these things. You are the witness, the experiencer, the I am that gives reality to everything in your world. This I am that you are is not separate from the universal I am that creates and sustains all existence. There is only one consciousness, one life, one being in all the universe. And you are that being individualized as you. When Moses asked for the name of God, the answer came, I am that I am. This is your name too. This is who you are. You are the eternal I am expressing itself as your unique individuality. When you begin to identify with this truth, when you begin to see yourself as you really are rather than as the world has told you that you are, love naturally arises. For how can you not love that which is divine? How can you not cherish that which is sacred? How can you not honor that which is infinite and eternal? This is why self-love is not arrogance or pride in the worldly sense. True self-love is humility before the magnificence of what you are. It is awe at the mystery of consciousness expressing itself as your life. It is gratitude for the privilege of being a center through which the infinite experiences itself finitely. As you begin to love yourself in this way, something miraculous happens. The love you feel for yourself begins to transform everything in your world. For you see, the world you experience is not separate from you. It is the outpicturing of your consciousness, the external reflection of your inner states. When you love yourself, you naturally attract love from others. When you honor yourself, others feel compelled to honor you. When you treat yourself with kindness and respect, the universe mirrors this back to you through every person and circumstance you encounter. This is not magic, this is law. This is the fundamental principle by which consciousness creates reality. But remember, you do not love yourself in order to get love from others. You love yourself because love is what you are. The love that others give you in response is simply the confirmation of the truth you have already established within yourself. It is the echo of your own self-love reverberating back to you through the world of form. Many of you have experienced the frustration of seeking love from others while rejecting it in yourselves. You have tried to fill the void of self-rejection with the approval and affection of those around you, but it cannot be done. No amount of external love can compensate for the lack of self-love. The hole in your heart can only be filled from within by recognizing and claiming the love that you are. This is why relationships built on neediness and dependency ultimately fail. When you come to another as a beggar for love, you place an impossible burden upon them. You ask them to give you what you refuse to give yourself. You make them responsible for your happiness, your worth, your sense of completeness. But no human being can carry such a weight. Only you can love yourself as you need to be loved. When you learn to love yourself truly, your relationships are transformed. You no longer come to others from a place of lack, but from a place of abundance. You do not seek to get love, but to give it. You do not demand that others complete you because you know you are already whole. You enter into a relationship not because you need the other person, but because you choose to share the love that already overflows within you. This is the secret of happy relationships, two whole people choosing to love each other, not two halves trying to make a whole. This is the foundation of lasting partnership. Two individuals who have learned to love themselves coming together to create something beautiful, not two wounded souls trying to heal each other's pain. But self-love extends far beyond romantic relationships. It touches every aspect of your life, every choice you make, every thought you think, every word you speak. When you love yourself, you naturally make choices that honor your well-being. You eat foods that nourish you, engage in activities that fulfill you, surround yourself with people who appreciate you. You speak to yourself with kindness, treat your body with respect, honor your dreams and desires. When you love yourself, you also naturally set healthy boundaries. You do not allow others to treat you poorly because you know you deserve better. You do not say yes when you mean no because you respect your own time and energy. You do not tolerate abuse or disrespect because you understand your own worth. Love without boundaries is not love, it is enablement. True self-love includes the wisdom to protect and preserve what is precious. This does not mean becoming cold or uncaring toward others. It means loving from a place of strength rather than weakness, giving from abundance rather than depletion, caring from choice rather than compulsion. When you love yourself well, you have more love to give to others, not less. You become a blessing to those around you rather than a burden. I want you to understand something that may challenge everything you're being taught about love and spirituality. The highest spiritual practice is not to diminish yourself in service to others. The highest spiritual practice is not to deny your own needs and desires in favor of everyone else's. The highest spiritual practice is to recognize the divine being that you are, and to love that being with all your heart, mind, and soul. This is what it means to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. For God is not separate from you, dwelling in some distant heaven. God is the very life and consciousness that you are. To love God is to love the divine presence expressing itself as you. To serve God is to honor the sacred being that you are. To worship God is to recognize the infinite worth and beauty of your own existence. From this foundation of self-love, all other love flows naturally and authentically. When you love the God within yourself, you spontaneously recognize and love the God within others. When you honor the divine in your own being, you cannot help but see and celebrate the divine in all beings. This is not a practice you must force. It is a natural expression of realized truth. But I know that for many of you, this teaching feels foreign, even wrong. You have been conditioned to believe that loving yourself is selfish, that putting yourself first is bad, that true spirituality requires self-sacrifice and self-denial. These beliefs have been used to keep you small, to keep you from recognizing and claiming your power. Let me be clear. There is nothing spiritual about making yourself small. There is nothing holy about denying your own worth. There is nothing virtuous about accepting less than you deserve. These are not spiritual teachings. They are tools of control, used by those who benefit from your diminishment. The truly spiritual person recognizes their own divine nature and lives from that recognition. The truly spiritual person loves themselves as God loves them, unconditionally and completely. The truly spiritual person claims their birthright of joy, abundance, and fulfillment without apology or shame. You were not born to struggle, to suffer, to settle for less than your heart desires. You were not created to be a victim of circumstances, a slave to others' opinions, a prisoner of your own self-judgment. You were born to express the glory of existence through your unique being, to create beauty and joy and love in this world, to live as the magnificent being that you are. But this requires courage. It requires courage to stand up to the voices that tell you to stay small. It requires courage to believe in your own worth when others doubt it. It requires courage to love yourself when the world tells you that you are not lovable. It requires courage to live as who you truly are rather than who others expect you to be. This courage is not something you must manufacture or find somewhere outside yourself. This courage is your natural state when you recognize who you are. When you know yourself as divine consciousness expressing itself in human form. When you understand that you are one with the creative power of the universe. When you realize that you are worthy of infinite love simply because you exist, courage arises naturally. Fear is what happens when you forget who you are. Love is what happens when you remember. Self-doubt is the result of identifying with the false self, the ego, the voice of limitation. Self-love is the natural state of the true self, the divine self, the unlimited being that you are. So how do you cultivate this love for yourself? How do you break free from the patterns of self-rejection and self-criticism that have held you in bondage? The answer lies in the power of your own imagination, in the ability to see yourself as you truly are rather than as you appear to be. Every night before you sleep, I want you to imagine yourself surrounded by infinite love. See yourself held in the arms of the divine, cherished beyond measure, valued beyond worth. Feel the warmth of unconditional acceptance flowing through every cell of your body. Hear the voice of love speaking to you, telling you how precious you are, how worthy you are, how perfectly you are made. Do not think of this as mere imagination or wishful thinking. This is reality. This is truth. You are surrounded by infinite love at every moment, because you are infinite love expressing itself as your individual being. The love you imagine is not separate from you. It is you recognizing yourself as you truly are. During your waking hours, practice speaking to yourself as love would speak. When you make a mistake, do not condemn yourself, but gently correct your course. When you face a challenge, do not berate yourself, but encourage yourself as you would encourage a beloved friend. When you look in the mirror, do not focus on flaws, but look for the divine beauty that shines through your eyes. Replace the voice of criticism with the voice of compassion. Replace the words of judgment with words of understanding. Replace the energy of rejection with the energy of acceptance. This is not about denying areas where you can grow or improve. This is about approaching yourself with love rather than with violence. Watch your internal dialogue carefully, for this is where your reality is created. The conversations you have with yourself determine the quality of your experience more than any external circumstance. If you speak to yourself with love, respect, and encouragement, your life will reflect these qualities. If you speak to yourself with harshness, criticism, and disappointment, your world will mirror these states back to you. Remember, you are always listening to yourself, even when you are not conscious of it. Your subconscious mind hears every word you speak to yourself, both audibly and silently. It accepts these words as truth and works to make them reality in your experience. This is why it is so crucial to become conscious of the way you speak to yourself and to choose words that honor rather than diminish your being. Begin to celebrate yourself regularly. Acknowledge your achievements, however small they may seem. Appreciate your efforts even when they do not lead to the results you hope for. Honor your courage in facing each new day, your strength in overcoming challenges, your wisdom in learning from experience. You are doing better than you think you are. You are stronger than you know. You are more loved than you can imagine. Treat yourself with the same kindness and consideration you would show to someone you deeply love. If you would not speak harshly to your beloved, do not speak harshly to yourself. If you would not withhold care and comfort from your child, do not withhold these things from yourself. If you would not ignore the needs and desires of your dearest friend, do not ignore your own needs and desires. This is not selfishness, this is wisdom. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot love others authentically if you do not love yourself genuinely. The love you give to yourself is not taken away from others. It is added to the sum total of love in the universe. As you practice loving yourself more deeply, you will notice that your entire experience of life begins to shift. Colors become more vivid, music more beautiful, simple pleasures more satisfying. This is because love is the lens through which beauty is perceived. When you love yourself, you are looking at life through the eyes of love, and everything becomes more radiant as a result. You will also notice that opportunities begin to appear in your life, as if the universe is conspiring to support your dreams and desires. This is not coincidence, this is consciousness at work. When you love and value yourself, you naturally magnetize experiences that match this inner state. When you believe you deserve good things naturally flow to you. People will begin to treat you differently as well. Some will be drawn to the new energy you emanate, inspired by the love and confidence you embody. Others may be challenged by your transformation, especially if they are still trapped in patterns of self-rejection. Do not let their discomfort diminish your light. Your job is not to make others comfortable with their limitations. Your job is to be who you are fully and authentically. There will be resistance to your journey of self-love, both from within and from without. The old patterns of thought and behavior will not surrender easily. The voices of criticism and doubt will fight to maintain their hold over you. People around you may try to pull you back into familiar patterns of self-diminishment. This is natural and expected. Do not be discouraged by this resistance. See it as confirmation that you are moving in the right direction. Change always creates turbulence before it creates transformation. The caterpillar must completely dissolve before it can emerge as a butterfly. Your old self, the self that sought love from others while rejecting it in yourself, must die so that your true self, the self that knows its own infinite worth, can be born. During times of resistance and challenge, return to the truth of who you are. Return to the knowledge that you are divine consciousness expressing itself in human form. Return to the understanding that you are worthy of infinite love simply because you exist. Return to the practice of speaking to yourself with kindness and treating yourself with care. Remember that loving yourself is not a destination, but a journey. Not a one-time achievement, but a daily practice. There will be days when it feels natural and easy, and days when it feels foreign and difficult. This is normal. Be patient with yourself as you would be patient with a child learning to walk. Celebrate the progress you make, however small, and be gentle with yourself when you stumble. The path of self-love is not always smooth, but it is always worth traveling. Every step you take toward greater self-acceptance, every moment you choose compassion over criticism, every time you honor your own needs and desires, you are not only transforming your own life, but contributing to the healing of the world. For when you love yourself, you give others permission to love themselves. When you honor your own divinity, you make it easier for others to recognize their own divine nature. When you live from a place of self-worth and self-respect, you model a way of being that inspires to treat themselves better as well. This is how the world is transformed, one person at a time, one heart at a time, one moment of self-love at a time. You may think that your individual journey of self-acceptance is small and insignificant, but I tell you that it ripples out into the universe in ways you cannot imagine. Every act of self-love raises the vibration of the collective consciousness. Every moment of self-acceptance adds to the sum total of love in existence. So I encourage you, dear friend, to make this commitment to yourself today. Commit to seeing yourself through the eyes of love rather than the eyes of judgment. Commit to speaking to yourself with kindness rather than with cruelty. Commit to honoring your own needs and desires rather than constantly sacrificing them for others. Commit to recognizing and celebrating the divine being that you are. This is not a small thing I am asking of you. This is perhaps the most important work you will ever do. For everything in your life flows from your relationship with yourself. Your health, your wealth, your relationships, your career, your happiness, your peace of mind. All of these are reflections of how you see and treat yourself. When you love yourself more than anyone else could ever love you, you do not become selfish or uncaring. You become a beacon of love in the world, a living example of what it means to honor the divine in human form. You become someone who loves so fully from within that you have an endless supply to share with others. This is the great secret that the mystics have always known. The kingdom of heaven is within you. The love you seek is within you. The worth you crave recognition of is within you. The acceptance you long for is within you. The peace you desire is within you. Everything you have ever wanted from another person, you can give to yourself. And when you do, the whole universe opens up to support and celebrate you. The time has come for you to stop being your own worst enemy and start being your own best friend. The time has come for you to stop seeking from others what you refuse to give yourself and start recognizing the infinite source of love that you are. The time has come for you to love yourself more than anyone else, not because others are unworthy of love, but because you are the source from which all your love must flow. Tonight, as you leave this place and return to your daily life, I want you to remember these words. I want you to hear them echoing in your heart whenever you are tempted to be harsh with yourself, whenever you are inclined to seek validation from others, whenever you forget the magnificent being that you are. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not too much or too little or not enough. You are exactly who you are meant to be, expressing divine consciousness in your own unique and perfect way. You are worthy of infinite love, boundless joy, and unlimited abundance. You are deserving of respect, kindness, and care, especially from yourself. The greatest love story ever told is not between two people. It is between you and yourself. The greatest romance you will ever experience is your relationship with your own divine being. The greatest commitment you will ever make is the commitment to honor, cherish, and love yourself unconditionally and completely. Make that commitment now. Feel it in your heart. Know it in your mind. Live it in your daily experience. Love yourself more than anyone else could ever love you. And watch as your entire world transforms to match the love you have discovered within yourself. This is your birthright. This is your destiny. This is who you have always been, waiting to be recognized and claimed. You are love itself, expressing as the beautiful, unique, precious being that you are. Never forget this truth. Never settle for less than the full recognition and celebration of your own divine nature. Go now and love yourself as you have never loved before. The universe is waiting to reflect that love back to you in ways more wonderful than you have ever imagined. Your journey of self-love begins now, and it will continue for all eternity, growing deeper and more beautiful with each passing day.